Jeff with Next Global News, and today we're going to talk about the layoffs that have been occurring across America. We had a conversation on some of my other channels about this happening, where people were going to end up fearing the layoffs that were going to come from this more so than they were going to actually fear the virus itself at some point, which, it could happen. It may or may not happen, but it did happen. It's happening right now, whereas 19% of people have been laid off, according to a Los Angeles Times poll. So it says 18% of U.S. workers have lost jobs or hours since coronavirus hit. Poll finds that was yesterday. That was on Facebook yesterday. Like I said, some people were talking about getting laid off. They said, wow, just got laid off. And then today I heard someone say they got laid off and so did their friend. So, we're seeing a lot of people getting laid off. I know that I've lost contracts that I had, which it happens, nothing's perfect during crisis, right? So, but what we're going to talk about is things that you can do to improve your financial situation during hardship. And that's what this is going to be about. So if you're excited about this video, crush up the likes. If you're new to this channel, you can subscribe, turn on the bell, and get notified when videos like this come out so we can continue the conversation. And so what we're hearing across different various platforms, 9/11 and financial crisis playbook for investing amid the coronavirus. So, they're saying what you can learn from the 9/11 or 2007, 2008 crash that you can apply to this. And they're also saying no two apples are the same, right? So yes, crashes happen, but they're not the same. So don't expect the same outcome during stuff like that. But they're saying investing during a crisis is usually a good bet. So what they're saying is if you saw it at a high and now it's down, that's typically a safe bet, unless, of course, the whole country is going to zero. And then it's not such a safe bet, right? But you've seen stocks like Boeing and others that are really doing pretty good, or not doing too good, but are looking pretty good in terms of investment opportunity, unless you think that the largest aircraft manufacturer in the world and the only one in America is going to go away and just leave one company around the world, which is Airbus, to do all the aircraft manufacturing. I don't think that's going to happen. So Boeing's looking pretty good, right? But other people are saying things like gold. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a professional financial advisor, but these are things that people have recommended, during this situation. Another thing that CNBC, which you can take that with a grain of salt if you want, but they did a pretty decent article here. They're saying, leave your investments alone. If you're in these long-term investments, unless you're absolutely in need to do it, like sell your home or maybe touch your 401k or something like that, try to resist that urge to panic sell that, because of this current situation, because it can be tempting. But they're also saying increase your emergency savings. I guess it's a little too late for that in this case, because kind of catching people off guard. If they haven't already done that, I don't see how they're going to do it, especially if layoffs continue. But like we're seeing, Politico.com, coronavirus layoffs surge across America, overwhelming unemployment offices. Thanks to the 5 people who crushed up the likes and the 7 people who are tuning in, Tyler, Kimbo John, and Shawnee. Yeah, we're dialing this in here to see how we can get some financial relief for people, or what they're saying is things that people can do to get some financial relief in this current situation that we're dealing with. You're seeing it right here. Giving Americans money to offset coronavirus impact gains Trump administration support. Mitt Romney was talking about that. And here was a quote from Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. Americans need cash now, and the president wants to give cash now. And I mean now, in the next 2 weeks. So this conversation you guys are hearing, where there's going to be a relief package for the average adult in America, that's what they're talking about here. And so what exactly are some things that people who've just been recently laid off can expect? These are things that are way out of your control. And if you're living paycheck to paycheck, this kind of has to happen, because people who are living paycheck to paycheck, if they don't have income and they're all of a sudden without any sort of income, they're on desperate times, what ends up happening then? Riots on the street, panic on the streets, panic in your neighborhoods, crime will skyrocket. And, in order to maintain social order, you want to make sure that people are taken care of, because it's in the greater good interest of the society. This is not something that becomes habitual. It's something that is a Band-Aid over a current problem, right? So what you need to know, how unemployment insurance works if you're laid off. Social Security has gone online only. Where to get free financial planning help. How consumer lenders are helping. This is on New York Times, by the way. Ways to keep the light on and the phones working. What the student loan waiver doesn't do. More things that help. There's other things that you could be doing, like talking to if you're in a mortgage, you could be talking to a loan officer to see if you can get refinanced into a better rate. If we flash back to 2008, 2009, there was the Affordable Housing Act, which ushered in a really unique package where people were sometimes encouraged to not pay their mortgage for as long as 6 to 12 months, so that they could qualify for home modification, loan modification. So these kind of things do come up. Shawnee Chantel says they'll give cash now and count as income on next year's return. This is not free cash. Yeah, I mean, I did hear today that they were talking about postponing the tax season by 9 weeks. Let's see. Trump said postpone IRS income tax. That's an interesting point that you bring that out. Treasury and IRS to delay tax payment deadline by 90 days. So it's no longer April 15th. Now it's going to be what? Is that June or is it June or July 15th now? It looks like. So let's see what the president has tweeted today. We'll dive in here and take a look at what Trump, if he said anything recently. Thanks to everyone who's crushed up the likes and dropping comments so we can read them out. He said 35 minutes ago today, I spoke with American physicians and nurses to thank them for their timeless work. Doctors and nurses are on the front lines of this war, and there are true American heroes. With their help, America will win. I want all Americans to understand we are at war with an invisible enemy, but the enemy is no match for the spirit and resolve of the American people. He also retweeted a tweet from Herschel Walker, a running back. Let's keep the faith. Just spoke to Donald Trump. CDC guidance as we can be champions defeating COVID-19. Let's see what the CDC is saying as of right now. Older adults and persons with chronic conditions, talk to your doctor about getting extra necessary equipment or consider using mail order medication. So if you're not already following those channels on Twitter, I recommend you guys getting on there and doing that. Kimbo John. Let's see here. CM says, I'm doubling down on TSP. You're talking about thrift savings plan. And another thing that's interesting, we've had this conversation a couple of times about how to take advantage of this, but we just talked about Boeing. Boeing's in a situation where you might want to take a look at that stock, but there's also a series of stocks, which I can make a specific video if you guys want, of the stocks that I'm tracking. I'm not necessarily buying right now, although I don't see a problem. Again, not financial advice. I don't see a problem with stepping into these positions on some of these stocks due to the fact that they're, sold off 3 times as much as their all-time high. Boeing, for example, was what, 380? Now it's sitting at like $102 as the market closed. A lot of people, Warren Buffett, for example, he said when there's blood on the streets, that's when he buys. So what you can anticipate is at some point, it is likely that Boeing will revisit its previous all-time highs or something close to that. I mean, heck, if you buy in at 102 and it goes up to 210, you double your money, right? But the likelihood, how long will that take? And the likelihood of the fact that is Boeing done selling off? Could Boeing go to $50? We don't know. Another stock that's extremely sold off is Uber. People are not wanting to take Uber because they don't want to risk getting in cars with drivers or in situations like that. So they're not driving. They're not driving Uber. Uber is down to $14, and it's been as high as $40. Southwest Airlines has lost half of its market cap. So there's a lot of different stocks out there that you guys can be at least tracking as the sell-off continues to happen. And at some point in time, they could come out with a vaccine, a solution to the problem. Next thing you know, we're out of the woods. Thanks to the 9 people who crushed up the likes. And like I said, if you're tuning in now and you're not getting notified when the video first comes out, turn on the bell next to subscribe. Okay, so 5 lessons for using basic or universal basic income during a pandemic. So this is something they're talking about where everyone, I don't know if they're going to do it, but it sounds like it's probably going to go through where they're going to give every person, I think, $1,000. I don't know where they get this $1,000 round number. To me, $1,000 a month is in America. It's not even sustainable. I mean, it's like, that's not going to get most people through their daily lives, especially if they're living paycheck to paycheck. They have 4 kids. I mean, it's like, so I mean, I'm a single person, so I don't have 4 kids, but I'm just thinking about, like, what if someone has, so a single adult and then 4 kids? It's like they're going to give them $1,000. I guess it's better than nothing, yes, but it's like, if they just got laid off due to unfortunate circumstances, I mean, that's going to cause a real hectic situation for them. But it's better than nothing. So I mean, I'm not trying to complain. But I don't think $1,000 is going to cover that for that particular family. For me, I'm grateful to get that $1,000, but for someone with a family of 4 and a single parent, I don't know. Traditionally, UBI is framed around 3 different goals: countering possible job losses from automation, including a risk occupations like truck drivers, to the automated self-driving car, strengthening social contracts, trust in government by redistributing oil revenues in Alaska, acting as a deliberate poverty reduction instrument. So those are 3 ways that they typically consider using social or universal basic income. Universal basic income, which is basically no matter how much you make, no matter if you're a millionaire or a poor person, you would get whatever the stipend is for the universal basic income. So say they said it was $1,200 a month, millionaire gets it, and so does the lowest person on the totem pole, the person who's unemployed, and they get that every single month from the government. That's called the universal basic income. The COVID-19 epidemic is now presenting policymakers an opportunity to consider a new approach to UBI, which is universal basic income, a one-off cash transfer to stimulate consumer demand. This could be implemented as monetary levers at the disposal of central banks or as part of the fiscal packages rolled out by ministries of finance. Also, guys, we have a new group here. If you guys want to join, feel free. It is called Preparing for Pandemic. So survivalist prepping. You can join that group right here. It's on Facebook. Next Global News is sharing that link. And you guys can keep up with information from people as it's breaking, just like that. Just got a post here. Coronavirus prompts Board of Correction to call for release of inmates from NYC jails. Okay, so that just came across the board right now. The Board of Correction said on Tuesday that New York City should start releasing inmates who are at high risk of contracting the coronavirus and make efforts to rapidly decrease the jail population. Wow. Wow. Could you imagine that? Okay, that's kind of unique. That's like a get out of jail free card thanks to the coronavirus, right? Shanti says, I don't want any vaccine. There's one country, I forgot the name, that claimed that they have a vaccine and made it mandatory. This better not reach out here. Yeah, like it's like mandatory vaccinations. If they make it mandatory, it's like I don't know. Who knows? Anyways, guys, I wanted to make this quick video, and thanks to everyone who's been keeping up with us. We're going to keep doing some research, seeing what comes up. I mean, there was some action today. Trump did declare some stuff, but we'll see where it goes. And turn on that bell to catch us on the next live stream next to the subscribe button. So see you guys later, and see you in that group.